Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. All's fair in love and war, as the saying goes. While shockwaves still ripple through the cycling world, at least 4 cycling brands have already cut ties with Colin Strickland, Mo Wilson's former fling. They are Specialized, Rafa, Envy and the Meteor. They've all terminated their contracts. Of the 4, Specialized, the makers of bicycles, I actually ride a Specialized myself, is arguably the biggest. Their Instagram following stands at 1.4 million. Rafa is a big cycling brand and the Meteor is a bicycle shop based in Austin, Texas. Of the 4 brands, only Specialized and the Meteor have acknowledged Mo Wilson in their social media. But what about Red Bull? Red Bull is arguably Strickland's biggest sponsor, and Red Bull still appears as a sponsor on Strickland's Instagram page. To give you an idea, Red Bull I think is about, 16 million Instagram followers. That's almost 16 times more than I am Specialized. Interestingly, Red Bull makes no references to the recent tragedy, and when Velo News tried to contact Red Bull, they've sponsored Strickland since 2017. This was the response via email from a senior communications manager. Thank you for reaching out. This is a matter for the authorities. Now, in my days as a photojournalist, I covered many top athletes and triathletes. I wrote for a number of sporting publications. Among the people that I interviewed were Tyler Hamilton, that's Lance Armstrong's former teammate, Chris Froome, who's won the Tour de France a couple of times, and actually he also appears in Strickland's social media, Daryl Impey, Richard Murray, Reynard Tissink, Tim Don, Christian Howes, etc. I've also got a background in marketing. I studied marketing and I wrote an article a couple of years ago dealing with what I called the brand apocalypse surrounding Oscar Pistorius. So is it fair what's happening to Colin Strickland? I mean, he didn't pull the trigger, so should he really be punished? And can't he sue sponsors for breaking their contracts with him? Before we get to the answer to that question, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So I do have a background in law. I studied law for 4 years at university. I also studied marketing, and I myself am in terms of my own sport, at one point I was a provincial triathlete and swimmer. I've also done a little bit of cycling. So is it fair what's happening to Colin Strickland? Well, technically Strickland is innocent of a crime. He also has a responsibility as a brand ambassador to behave responsibly. I suppose an argument can be made that he ought to have known he was playing with fire when he was cheating on an already riled up girlfriend. I mean, Caitlin Armstrong was already quite upset and she was checking his phone and all that kind of thing. He was changing Mo's number on his phone and there was blocking going on. That and the fact that Strickland bought Armstrong the gun that was used to kill Mo Wilson, well, that simply doesn't look good. Neither does his proximity to her or his lying about his movements to his girlfriend on the night of the incident. So while technically, in a legal sense, it wasn't Strickland's fault, his sponsors won't necessarily see it that way. They'll look at the negative publicity surrounding Strickland. And that is actually something that is a big part of the Johnny Depp trial at the moment. The negativity surrounding someone, and that's the reason why you don't have them in your movie, kind of thing. It's not really got to do with if it's your fault or anything. It's simply, I don't want my thing, my creative thing, my product associated with something that's got negative publicity. Now, Red Bull may be concerned about legal action if they break ranks as Strickland's biggest sponsor. You may remember Nike took a while to break ties with Lance Armstrong, and after breaking ties in October 2012, continued to maintain ties with Livestrong, Armstrong's cancer charity, until eventually breaking those two at the end of May 2013, around about 6 months later. Incidentally, Lance Armstrong, who also lives in Austin, Texas, and he is still active in the cycling community there and shares a similar last name to the alleged killer. And he's actually pretty active on Twitter. Lance hasn't mentioned anything about the Mo Wilson tragedy either. He has mentioned the Texas shooting, however. So the answer is not necessarily fair. So the whole thing about not wanting to be associated with this, especially if you're the sponsored athlete, it can probably feel very unfair. But I think you can also say it's not unexpected. It goes with the territory. Strickland had to have known that having a secret relationship with another professional athlete could and would have consequences, but he persisted regardless. Ironically, Strickland says that one of the reasons he and Mo remained friends, remember they had a relationship, he was saying one of the reasons they stayed in contact and remained friends was because he was helping her get sponsors. So I find it a little bit sad, and I think sponsors and these big companies do have a responsibility to communities. So they want communities to love them, to use their products, to be inspired by them, to be invested in them. And so I think they also need to show care and concern when something happens in those communities. And so I think it's quite sad when you see some of these companies just simply not acknowledging something that everyone is talking about in the cycling world. And what are they worried about? Are they worried about their image? Are they worried about the bottom line? What are they worried about? Are they worried about money? And so in that context, it's gratifying to see those who do acknowledge what's going on and those who do show a human side, show compassion, show sympathy, show a connection to these communities. And so specifically the Meteor, which is a much loved bicycle shop in Austin, provided this official statement paying tribute to Mo Wilson. And this is a quote from their statement. The Meteor continues to mourn the tragic loss of Mo Wilson. Mo was a remarkable person and gifted athlete, a rising star poised to take the cycling world by storm. The emerging details of the investigation hit close to home, making the senseless loss of life even more difficult to process. We are hopeful that the authorities are able to conclude the investigation, and we extend our deepest condolences to Mo's family, friends, and the countless others she inspired. Isn't that a beautiful message? In the next analysis, we're going to examine Mo and Colin's social media, as well as a social media app known as Strava, used by athletes. Strava was also the app Caitlin Armstrong used to track Mo to her friend's house. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.